Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Champions of Self podcast. I'm happy today to introduce to you Sarah Dodd. Sarah, who not only shares a name with my sister and spells it the same, she is an inspirational speaker. She's even spoken on TEDx, which is awesome, something I want to do one day. She's a coach, a mentor, and a world traveler, and we'll get to hear a little bit about that today. Sarah, how are you?
I am amazing as always. How are you?
Great. Thank you for joining today's podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So Sarah, I did give you a little bit of intro, but hey, let's hear a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
I am Sarah Dodd. I am online. My brand is called The Nomadic Dreamer. I'm a solo traveler that has been exploring the world extensively for the last 7 years. I've traveled alone to 121 countries, and my goal is to be one of the first daring solo female individuals to travel to every single United Nations country. It's a long ways away. I have like 75 more countries to go. The coronavirus has kind of held me back a little bit from this goal for the time being. But once this all goes away, I'm going to start again. I am a empowerment coach. Basically, I help people in the topic of self-mastery to master themselves, which in return will help them to master the world and create all the goals and the dreams that they want to in their life. So all of my focus is around self-mastery, creating habits, helping people to generate like these habits and skills that they have to create amazing success in their life. So that's what I've been doing. I'm an inspirational speaker. I've been doing this for the last 7 years, and here I am.
Very good. Now, she said it quickly, but I hope you caught that. She's been to 121 countries. My goodness.
Yeah. A lot of countries. There's 196 countries out there for anyone that wants to write it down for that little fun fact. Yeah. 196.
Wow. Now, I'm sure people are curious about this, so we're going to spend a minute on it. Do you travel alone to all of these, correct?
Yes.
Do you have somebody at least help you with travel, or is it everything is done by yourself?
No, I do everything. I'm not a strategic planner with I strategically plan my trip around the world. Like, okay, I'm going to start here and I'm going to go here. But as far as like getting to a location, I arrive and I plan once I get there. I'm not going to plan like a year in advance. Okay, I'm going to go here and here and here and here. So it's all about me. And the way that I travel is I go and I ask local people like, hey, what is the best thing to do? And I basically create a plan as I go. But I do everything on my own. I travel alone. I look for my housing alone. I do everything. It's just part of my solo travel.
Wow. Now this is an inspirational part that we can talk about. So help people understand, for example, I traveled a bunch for my old job, and most of the time I never even worried about this, but occasionally there was the question of, well, what about the language difference? What did you do there?
Okay, well, I speak fluently 2 languages. I speak English and I speak Spanish. I can understand Portuguese and I can understand some Italian just with my Spanish. I am not going to start speaking in fluent Italian nor Portuguese because I'm not that good, but I can understand basic conversations and people can understand me if I speak Spanish. So basically I have some part of the world covered, but that's a very, I guess, not a small part because there's a lot of English and Spanish speakers. But when I start going to places like in Asia and Africa, the number 1 language is body language. You can speak a lot through just body language alone. You do not need to know a language to travel. You do not need to go and learn as much as you can of French. Like I learned some French, but once you get to these countries in Africa that speak French, their French is completely different than the French in France. So you just have to go and use your body language, use your nonverbal communication, because really when it comes down to it, the majority of your communication is through the nonverbal, through your energy, through your vibe that you're putting out, through the way that you express your smiles, your frowns, your frustrations. You show it all just by your appearance and the way you move your body.
Mm-hmm. Now, this may be a difficult question to answer when you have 121 options, but tell us your most memorable trip and your most challenging trip.
Okay, let's start with the most memorial one. Memorial one. It was definitely, oh man, I would say that the one that really impacted me most was taking just a simple hike. Okay, it wasn't so simple, it was pretty complex, but the Camino de Santiago in Spain is a 31-day-ish pilgrimage if you go straight through. I hiked for 31 days through the mountains completely alone. I mean, I met a lot of people along the way, but this was a time in my life which I was I was probably 25 to 30 pounds more than what I am now. I was in horrible shape. I was not taking care of myself. And I decided to go on this hike, which I didn't think I was physically capable of doing. And it was the first time in my life in which I ever got in silence, and I walked through the mountains, and I really connected with myself for the first time. And that was my most beautiful experience that I've had in my trip. And that was my very first experience I had going off into this full-time trip across the world. So that was very special for me. It's called the Camino de Santiago, and it's amazing. It starts in France. There are different routes that you can do, but I started in France and I ended in the west coast of Spain. And number two, the most challenging, without a doubt, was the journey that I did last year. I started in Mauritania in the west of Africa, and I traveled all the way down through 14 countries. My plan was to go all the way to Angola, which most people, even travel experts, told me that would be very difficult and very unsafe to do as a female traveler. But I went ahead and did it anyways. Halfway through the journey, I had a tragic situation happen to me, almost lost my life. And it all came in the shape of a little mosquito that almost killed me. I got a really bad case of malaria, had to end my trip after only like four months. It was 4 months, and had to go back to Spain and recover. But it was one of the hardest, most challenging times of my life. I had no energy. My hair was falling out. My red blood cells, I mean, my blood work, just everything was just completely ridiculous. The doctors were looking at me like, you could have easily died. Like, what were you doing waiting so long to go to the doctor? And I blame my waiting time to go to the doctor on the fact that I'm Americans, and Americans like to wait before going to the hospital, because we're like, oh man, what if they send me a bill for $5,000 or $10,000 if I go there for 5 minutes? And in the end, I mean, I had full covered health insurance, so I didn't have to deal with that anyways. But it was a really difficult time. I mean, I could get into details. I have some articles written on my website about it to get more details, because we don't have enough time to go into that right now. But oh man, it was a really hell on earth, actually. It was the worst feeling I've ever had in my entire life.
I believe it. I couldn't understand, but I believe it.
Well, it was actually like laying in the hospital bed. I was in Liberia. There's no tourism in Liberia. Basically lying in the hospital bed in Liberia, thinking that you're going to die and you're away from your family, but you don't really want to call your family and tell them how severe your situation really is. It was a kind of a situation where I'm like, oh my God, please let me live. My family, they're going to be so mad if I die here in Liberia, because I'm like, I can travel the whole world and nothing happens to me. Oh my God, I don't want to die from a freaking mosquito.
I know, those darn mosquitoes.
Let me die from something bigger than a mosquito, at least something like, I don't know, like an airplane, but not a mosquito. Oh my gosh.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing those. Those are amazing, from probably the majority of people listening, just to go to those countries, right? So I like what you said about the Camino, right, in Spain, where you had a lot of time to yourself. And today's subject that we're going to talk about is being authentic with yourself. Tell us something that you learned either there or throughout all your travels that has taught you how and why you should be authentic with yourself.
Well, I started off my experience very close-minded. I come from a southern state in the south of the United States, Arkansas, and it's a very close, relatively conservative, super conservative, we'll just keep it super conservative state. And I grew up with a mentality that, my way was the right way. You have to believe this way. If you believe other than this way that I believe, then you're wrong. And so when I started off into the world, I was very fearful of people of other religions. I was fearful of people of other colors, of other backgrounds, different races, just anything that you can possibly think of. I was pretty much afraid and opposed to anyone that looked or acted differently than me, which was a very, very, very big obstacle going out into the world. out into this diverse world where the people are not the same as they are here in Arkansas, and they don't talk the same either. We talk like this here. So things are different, really, really. Things was so like, the world was just flipped upside down. And so basically during this Camino, I really, for the first time, started to connect with myself and to really challenge why I think the way I do. Challenge, like, what do I actually believe? Why do I believe what I believe? And I started to question, like, all these limiting beliefs that I had towards myself, towards success, towards my finances, towards my dreams, my goals. Because whether we know it or not, there's something called limiting beliefs. There's something called limiting beliefs that will hold you back from your true purpose in life. These are your beliefs that are stored down in your subconscious mind, and you may not even be aware of them. And when you're in silence, and when you truly take time to just embrace the silence instead of just filling your ears with nonsense or music or podcasts or all kinds of stuff all the time, it's just like once you get into silence, sometimes you'll be able to hear not an audible voice, but it's like a sensation that comes over you. And you start to feel and connect with things within and your subconscious that you never felt before. And that's what happened in the Camino. I started to realize, wow, my mindset is pretty screwed up. And that's probably why I'm not getting the results that I want to get. That's probably not why I'm getting the success and the wealth and all of the things that I'm wanting, because I have these limiting beliefs. So that's what it was about, was coming to a state of being so authentic with myself about what was going on the inside, and working to not fix it, because I'm not broken and I never was broken, and you are not broken. It's not trying to fix it. It's just trying to identify it and then put a solution to it, because you and we are not broken individuals. We are whole human beings. But the problem is that you and I tend to think that we are broken, and we're not. We just need to be aware of what's going on and put some powerful solutions to the problems. I don't even use the word problems. I'm just using it to be like, to connect with the audience. I call them I call them situations. Problems has a negative connotation to it. I put it as just it is the way it is. And then you can put the negative or you can put the positive to the situation, but it's nor negative nor positive. It's just neutral.
Very good. I like how you were talking about where you were raised, and we can relate that very much to what we often talk about in this podcast, where maybe we're raised in a family or society that tells us to be a certain way, or whether they say it out loud or not, there are certain subjects that we don't talk about, right? And that is the subject of emotional pain. We have it. It is inside us, but maybe we don't understand it because it's been shoved to the back of our mind so often. I don't understand myself. I don't know if I'm supposed to be myself because nobody around me is this way, or nobody on social media is this way, right? But like you said, if we can take the time to listen to ourselves and to understand and acknowledge the emotions that we're experiencing, it doesn't mean we're bad or broken. It just means, oh, that's what it is. And now that I understand, I can do something about it. A question for you. I don't know, obviously, what this answer will be, but it goes to a question that I did want to ask you. What got you into traveling the world so much? And did part of it have anything to do with, I want to discover something about myself? Or, I have these emotions I don't fully understand, and maybe I want to get away from them. What thoughts do you have to that?
My travels, really, I didn't have a purpose in traveling. I wanted to explore the world. I wanted to do something different than other people. I mean, I grew up in a society that told me I should do this and this and this and this and this, and basically don't think outside the box, don't do anything extraordinary, because that's just weird. You don't want society to think you're weird. Like, you need to go to high school, you need to get out of high school and go to a good college in Arkansas, you need to get a boyfriend, you need to get married, you need to graduate, you need to do this and this. So for me, traveling was breaking that mindset, breaking this like idea that people had And then I even fell into the trap of having and creating something so opposite and so authentic for myself. So that was what the experience traveling the world has done for me. Like, it has opened my mind and my world up. And it's not been an external travel, an external trip. It's more about this inner journey, this inner growth, this inner transformation of this girl that left the United States in 2013. She was scared. She was broken. She was like, what the heck am I doing with my life? I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to go take a risk, and I'm going to get on that airplane, not knowing anyone, not knowing the language, and I'm going to step into a new world. Seeing that girl to where I am now, the woman, not a girl, I'm a woman that has created amazing success, not monetary. Okay, yes, monetary as well, but not just monetary. When we think of success, we think about money, we think about so many things, but that's not my definition of success. And every single one of us has to define our definition of success. And this trip around the world has connected me with this purpose, with this power, with all of this. And this is what I go into my TED Talk about. It's in Spanish, unfortunately, so people can't understand it. But it's about the inner transformation of literally just really not caring, not showing any interest, being so fearful of other religions. I actually gave an example in my TED Talk of just like going into my Spanish class and having a Muslim person in my class. First time I'd ever seen a Muslim in my entire life. I was horrified because we have these negative connotations of what Muslims are in our, in the United States. Well, actually not in the United States, but just like in the South of the United States, we have negative images. And when I broke out of that and I actually became friends with this girl, we became the best of friends, like literally the best. And my whole entire image started to change of religion, of these barriers that we have, because everything that holds us back is just like an invisible barrier called, political things or religious things, or I am this way and you are this way. It's just a wall that separates us. So it's all about connecting, to that authentic self. And that helps you to connect with other people and to see the world through a different lens.
For sure. I like it. Something we talked about the other day, I think it's the idea of, so if somebody's listening and saying, great, she's done a lot of cool things, traveled the world, lots of things, yeah, but I'm too scared to do that. The question is, if I want to be authentic with myself, how do I do so? Maybe there's an element of, well, sure, there's fear, because you have anytime you do something new, there's an element of fear. But I think being authentic requires you to be honest with yourself, for one. And then something you and I talked about the other day is not listening so much to the opinions of others, right? You remember that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The first step in being authentic, I can say this with full confidence. The first step is just being aware of what you want. You need to be aware of what you want, because you cannot pass through this life and like just without an idea of what you want. It's like getting in a car and saying, all right, I'm going that way. I want to arrive there, but I don't even know where it is. I'm just going to go and drive and drive and drive and drive and waste all this gas, but I don't know actually where I'm going. So if you want to be authentic with yourself about something, you have to know what you want, and not just what you want. You need to know who you are. So that's going to require work, and that's going to require you doing exercises. This is not just like you listen to me one time, you're getting inspired, and then that's going to give you all the answers. Like, you have to know what you want and who you are. And this is something I do with my coaching clients, is like, this is the foundational blocks in which I build my business, is going into the energy side of things, which is my first pillar of my business model, is energy. This is dealing with all of your mindsets. This is dealing with all of the mental blocks, the limiting beliefs, every single thing that's holding you back, dealing with fears, finding out why you are so afraid. And then the second pillar of my business model is finding that true purpose. That is number one. And number two, without dealing with the mindset, if you're just like, I'm going to jump into my purpose and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. If you try jumping into your purpose without creating this foundation on solid ground, which is your energy and your mindset, you're going to absolutely set yourself up for disaster. You have to set your foundational blocks on solid ground, which is your energy, which is changing your mindset through repetition, through visualization, through imagination, through all of this, all of these amazing techniques over and over and over again, not just 1 week, not just 2 weeks, not even 1 month, nor 1 year, over and over and over until you just don't feel any resistance to what you're saying and what you're putting out there. Just keep at it over and over and over. And that is how you become authentic. But first, it starts with really believing and connecting with who you are and that purpose that you have.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Now, I know we need to respect your time because you have something after this. So to finish, we all talk about overcoming emotional pain on this podcast, and it relates very well to what you were saying. We can have a purpose. We would love to be there, but a lot of times we're held back by this emotional pain, this type of limiting belief, unresolved emotion, whatever title we really want to put to it, but it's the same idea. So Sarah, do you have an example you can share with us of an emotional pain that you've overcome and how you did it?
I laugh just because people, I know, because I get this all the time. They're like, oh my God, your life is so cool. You have the best life. Like, I watch you through social media. You're so lucky. Oh my God, Sarah, if I just had your situation, then I would be able to overcome anything that I set my mind to. And I just laugh. I'm like, all right, go to the About Me section in my website and you can read everything about it. But honestly, I have overcome so much emotional pain over the years because, you know, this emotional pain is started in the first years of our life. I mean, our subconscious mind is really at work from these early years in life. And, you know, I come from a broken home. On both sides of my family, we have drug abuse, substance abuse, alcohol abuse, so many generation after generation after generation. And I grew up, you know, with people telling me, you know, you're going to be like this one day because you have no other choice. Like, you can't change your genes. It's just the way that it is. And, you know, I was like, okay, well, sure, I can overcome this. Sure, I can overcome it. But they're like, no. And so when you get this no from an early age, like you cannot overcome something, it's like it gets like really like deeply embedded in your subconscious mind. Like, I cannot do anything. I'm powerless. And my own father, you know, he was sentenced to a really long sentence in prison when I was just 7 years old. I mean, he was a really big time drug dealer, got really heavily involved in this. It was a really big deal within my community. And he went away through my whole entire childhood. And growing up without that father figure, I mean, he was my role model. He was the person that I looked up to the most. And it was like a really big shock for my brother and I. So seeing that firsthand and having our whole life shattered at such a young age and dealing with all of those negative feelings of that, it was something that has affected me so much throughout my life. That's why I tell people, like, life is not supposed to be perfect. And we need to get this idea out of our head that life is supposed to be perfect. We're supposed to go through obstacles. We're supposed to have things happen to us. But the problem is, you know, we go through these negative things, but it is our choice to choose not to be a victim to these things. I cannot go around saying, oh, you know, my father did this to me. My uncles did this to me. My grandpa was this way. All of the family members are like this. My cousins are in prison. All of these people are like this. This is all I know. I don't know anything better. I mean, I hear this all the time. I just hear, well, you know, I just didn't even know better. I just didn't know. Like, I grew up this way, so I'm just programmed to think this way. No, you're not. Yes, you grew up with these thinkings, but you have the ability to change your life. You are in charge of your response, of your ability to get out of this negative victim mentality. And that's what I've had to do over the years, of saying, you know what? Life did not happen to me. It literally has happened for me. And now it's about changing my perspective about the past, changing my perspective about the current situation, and saying, I am not a victim. life has happened to me, and I choose to put a powerful, powerful story on what has happened to me, and I will be empowered through all of this. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to inspire people that have been dealing with the same thing or whatever it may be. And just realizing that every single negative situation that we have lived has a positive story if you look for it. But it first requires you getting out of this poor state of, oh, poor me. Life did this to me. I just don't know. It's just bad. Life is bad. People are bad. My family's bad. My neighbors are bad. It's all their fault. It's not. You have to take responsibility for your life and realize that no one else causes you to be this victim. You are the only person that has responsibility completely over your life. And that's what I have to say.
Oh yeah, very good. Okay, I know we're running short on time, but one thing I feel is going to be very important for the listeners. You just taught us excellent lessons looking backwards, right? Saying, hey, I've learned these great things, and here's how you also can have a successful life, right? Was there a time where after you had experienced these things with your father and that type of emotional pain that you turned to what we call unhealthy coping mechanisms? Did you look for something to solve the problem for you?
Oh man, yes. Oh man, yes. I think my life has been a very wild adventure. Like, of course, like I tried the drinking, did not like that at all. When I was younger, I tried the drugs, did not like that either. I tried different things. I tried unhealthy relationships. I tried getting into relationships with people that were like my father, thinking I can be the knight in shining armor and I'm going to fix the situation. And I'm just going to like go and show my love and make this person change. Spent 4 years of my life with an individual, letting him abuse me, not physically, but mentally, and dealing with his nonsense. That is a type of coping for me, because I fed on this drama, this life, this chaos that I saw growing up through my own life, through my grandmas, through my other grandma, through my mom, through everyone. It's like these unhealthy relationships. So yes, I've gone and I've done every kind of coping mechanism. Very seriously bulimic for a period of my life as well, which is a huge coping mechanism, because every single time I felt stress or out of control, I just binged, and then would find myself with my head inside the toilet. I'm getting really honest with you, because I'm really tired of getting on these interviews and just being so superficial and just saying all the things that I think people want to hear. Because we're in a freaking world today where there are real problems out there. And if I'm not capable and have the courage to literally talk about my own issues that I've had and how I have come out of this dark place into the light, if I'm not able to talk about these things, then who is? Because I am one powerful, courageous individual. And if I can't do it, how am I going to encourage other people to go out and be authentic with their eating disorder, with their depression, with their suicidal thoughts, with all of these things? I've had all of these. I've had bouts of depression. I've had thoughts where I'm like, I don't even want to live anymore. I've had thoughts of literally like, I just want to like cut my arms and I don't even want to be here. These are thoughts that I've had over the years. But now, if you look at my life, I am authentic and I have overcome all of these things. I'm not perfect now. I'm not going to say that I don't have thoughts where I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And I feel so I lack confidence, or I lack courage, and I lack all of this stuff. I go through days like that. But destructive behaviors, absolutely not. Like, that's in the past. But now I can use all of this stuff, all of these lessons and this ability that I have to relate to other people, because I can relate. I'm not here just to tell you, oh, you can get over it. It's fine. No, I have been in your shoes. I have cried in your shoes. I understand what it's like, and I can help you to get through that. So that's what it's about with my coaching. It's the power of leading by example. It's not about like, oh, I did this coaching program and look how great I am because I read this book and I'm a coach. No, I have lived through hell and I can help you get through your hell. And that's what my coaching is about. So, the bad moments, I don't even classify them as bad anymore. The negative or unpleasant situations, they really can be the most beautiful, beautiful gifts, because I'm like, if I can go through all of these negative experiences and then come out to where I am right now, where I'm able to inspire and help people, all of that was worth it. I'm glad that I was the one that went through it, not someone else. I mean, a lot of people do go through it, but I'm glad I was, because I am able to go out and just inspire people through this own personal story that I have.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really think that is one of the most valuable things to hear. Like you were saying, being authentic now, saying, yes, Sarah, you have so many great and awesome, amazing things about you. At the same time, here's the truth. People listening to you can say, nuh-uh, she felt that way. I feel that way right now. No way she went through, or, turned to that behavior. I've done that, or I was thinking about doing that. She said it didn't work. I know my brain wants it. I know my brain thinks it will work, but maybe I don't have to. Maybe there is a better way. Maybe I can get through this pain that I'm experiencing right now. And that is really my hope for all of these podcast conversations that we have with all the amazing people. We all have this, I'm telling you. But the thing is, we don't talk about it enough. And so to hear an authentic story like yours is so good. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, I will be honest, this is new for me. This is like probably not even 1 year old that I'm actually coming out and talking about this stuff, because okay, I'm actually lying right now. It's probably been about a 5-month thing, to be quite honest, that I've actually come out and talked about things like this. You would have never found me a year ago talking about this stuff on the internet, actually. And now that I think about it, a year ago, no, I wouldn't tell you that I was like, I had this problem with like eating disorders and all this. I wouldn't talk about it. But I realized, because I have like hundreds of thousands of followers on the internet, and it's like, I was like, if I put my authentic self out there, what if they don't like me? What if they reject me? And then I realized people do not want the best version of you. As a coach, as an inspirational speaker, people don't connect with this perfect you. They connect with your imperfections. They connect with the real Sarah, the real life, the real stuff, because they want to know how I was able to overcome this. Not like, here I am traveling the world and I have this and I have this and blah, 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 and I'm all Miss Goody Two-Shoes. No, let's get real. Let's really see behind the camera of what I actually go through, even to this day on a daily basis, which is, oh my God, you guys will rip your hair out being like, this girl's crazy. But I am a hot mess, and I am very, very proud of being a hot mess, because I am a hot, confident mess. And I'm not claiming that I'm perfect, and I can connect really good with those people just because of my imperfections, but my desire to strive to be the best person that I possibly can.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Everybody who's listening, I hope you felt her passion, her authenticity. Thank you for sharing those true details about yourself, Sarah. To wrap up, how can people connect with you on social media if they'd like to do so?
I am the Nomadic Dreamer. If you type in on Google Nomadic Dreamer, you will see lots and lots and lots of articles and interviews and all that about my journey and my experience. Nomadic Dreamer on Google. You can find me on Instagram. It's One Nomadic Dreamer, like the number one Nomadic Dreamer. Facebook, The Nomadic Dreamer, thenomadicdreamer.com, or for my professional services of coaching and speaking, that is Sarah, SARAHDODD.com. And feel free to contact me. I do have, I am a coach, so I have these 25-minute free consultations. Like, it's just a free clarity call where we can like connect with each other. We can get to know each other. If you're like, I really want to go to the next level in my thinking, but I just don't know how to get there, and you really want to work with me as a coach, like, we have these 25 amazing high energy calls that you can do to be like, oh yeah, let's get to know each other, and then let's take the next step together. Like, I am not alone in this journey, because you are not alone.
Absolutely. Well, you've heard it from Sarah's mouth, everybody. Thank you for joining another episode of the Champions of Self podcast, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.